Alex Albon has been with us for almost 2 full seasons now. His climb into F1 was a tough one, but it seems to have paid off. But then 2020 happened, and his form has been underwhelming to say the least. For this video I will be talking about Alex's rise to F1, his results and current form, and what Red Bull can do about it. So this begs the question, what the hell is going on with Alex Albon?
Jungle.
Let's start with his accolades. Albon started competitively racing go-karts in 2005. He competed locally and won his local karting championship. In 2006 he started racing in the cadet class, finishing first at the Kart Masters British Grand Prix and participating in the Super 1 National Honda Cadet Championship, finishing first in 2006 and second in 2007. Sorry to interrupt you guys, but I'm just here to remind you that 96.5% of you all aren't subscribed. So why don't you be different and go and subscribe to my channel? Anyway, in 2008 he moved up to the KF3 class where he stayed until 2010. During this time he won the Kart Masters British Grand Prix again, the Formula Kart Stars Championship, KF Winter Series, Super 1 National KF3 Championship, CIK FIA World Cup and the CIK FIA World Championship. So yeah, all worthless titles, and this guy sucks ass. Thanks for watching and remember to Just kidding. To make these stats even less impressive, he had beaten the likes of Pierre Gasly and some talentless catfish called Max Verstappen. So it was no surprise that by 2012 Albon was part of the Red Bull Young Driver Academy. In the same year Albon was promoted to Formula Renault, where he raced for the Epic team, where he finished 38th overall, and as a result he was dropped by Red Bull shortly after. In 2013 though, Albon raced for the KTR team where he got 1 pole position, a fast lap and even a race win, but it was taken away from him after he was caught creeping at the start. All this happened at the Red Bull ring, by the way. In 2013 he scored 22 points and finished 16th overall. In 2014 he endured another winless season, but he got 1 pole position again at the Nürburgring and finished 3rd overall in the standings. In 2015 he moved to the European Formula 3 Championship, where he finished 7th overall and 4th in the Rookies Championship. He managed to earn 2 pole positions, 5 podiums and 4 wins. Although he didn't win the championship, these results were very good, considering he was up against Antonio Giovinazzi, Charles Leclerc, George Russell, Callum Ilott, Lance Stroll and Mahavir Raghunathan. So, as you can imagine, this guy is actually a pretty damn good driver, but it doesn't end there. In 2016 Albon joined ART to compete in the GP3 series, where he was competing against the likes of great talents like Nick de Vries, Charles Leclerc once again, and of course, here Albon battled with Leclerc for the title all season long, but sadly he only managed 2nd best. Despite not winning, Albon was still promoted to Formula 2 with the ART team once again. Here he finished 10th overall and got 2 podiums, which is very impressive considering he missed out on the Baku round due to injury. In 2018 Albon moved to the Dams team, only for a 1 race deal which became a full season seat. Here Albon really proved himself, finishing 3rd overall behind champion George Russell and just behind Lando Norris, despite having double the DNFs Norris had. Overall Albon won 4 races and earned himself 8 podiums. Anyway, in 2019 Albon was set to move to Formula E with the EDAMS team, but on the 26th of November 2018 he was released by the team because he had chosen to sign with Toro Rosso for the 2019 World Championship season alongside Daniel Kvyat. So how did Albon get on? Well, when you look at the qualifying results, Albon and Kvyat were pretty much even. However, as far as race results went, Kvyat was 11 points ahead of Albon by the Hungarian Grand Prix. And to make matters worse, Kvyat had scored a podium the race before. However, while this battle was going on, Red Bull's Pierre Gasly was underperforming. By Hungary he was being lapped by his teammate Max Verstappen, and he was often finishing in the bottom 10 or even out of the points. Despite Red Bull's words, Gasly and Albon swapped seats. I personally would have preferred if Kvyat got the seat, but then again he tried and failed there once, so maybe Red Bull didn't want him there again. Anyways, Albon made his Red Bull debut at the Belgian Grand Prix where he finished a career best 5th, despite starting from the back of the grid. So this guy's doing alright. After that the top 6 finishes kept on coming, however there were no podiums. But we all knew that would eventually come soon, we just didn't know when. But then we come to the Brazilian Grand Prix. Albon was in his best race yet, however on the final lap,
Albon has Hamilton troubles here as he turns in. Oh, and Lewis Hamilton makes contact with Alex Albon. His first podium in Formula One is sent spinning and drifting away in the infield in Interlagos. Whose
Alex,
fault?
you left.
while racing for P3, Albon was punted by a fast approaching Lewis Hamilton, in an incident which leaves a few people wondering who was to blame. Albon would finish out of the points, and to make matters worse, Gasly robbed the podium off him in glorious fashion. Although it was heartbreaking for Alex, you've got to respect Gasly for his motivation. Albon finished 8th in the driver's standings, just behind Gasly. However, Gasly was in the faster car for a little longer, so I guess that makes a difference somehow. Moving on to 2020, and it seemed that Albon was going to be a force to be reckoned with. With a strong performance at the 2020 Austrian Grand Prix, he was battling for a podium, maybe even a win, but then
Albon is all over the back of Hamilton, who once again forces in the long way round. Norris goes the long way round on Perez.
No, not
and
again.
Albon again, no, with Lewis Hamilton. He's lost.
following another Hamilton run-in, Albon just carried on with what he was doing, just a little worse. Scoring once in the first 4 races. It seemed that the P6 or better days were gone, and instead there was P8s, P13s, P9s, but finally at the Tuscan Grand Prix, Albon got his first podium. Just 1 week after Pierre Gasly got his first win in a worse car. In Sochi it was business as usual. The guy struggled big time and finished only 10th. And at the Eiffel Grand Prix, Albon struggled to pass out Gasly, and he pretty much ruined Kvyat's race by wiping out his front wing, and eventually Albon just retired from the race entirely. So the guy's going through a bit of a rut here, so much so that Horner has said the following 2 rounds at Portimao and Imola will make or break for him. So you may be asking, what about Portimao? Well, he finished 6th, so he was back on top form, right? Well, he was lapped by Verstappen, just like Gasly was last season. But to make matters even worse, Gasly finished in P5. So now we move on to Imola. At qualifying it was business as usual in Q1. Then in Q2 Verstappen had an engine issue. So this is the time to shine for Albon, right? Well, Spin Albon wasted 3 sets of mediums in Q2 in a low. And due to many lap time deletions for track limits, Albon barely made it into Q3. Meanwhile, Verstappen got 1 lap in Q2 and breezed into Q3. Speaking of Q3, Verstappen blasted into 3rd, as usual. Meanwhile, Albon was back in 6th again, which was good. So where did Gasly qualify? At the race, Albon found himself behind Leclerc and Ricciardo, while being pressured by Danny Kvyat from behind. At the halfway point it seemed like P9 was his finishing position, but a safety car caused by a Verstappen tyre blowout meant that he moved up to P5 with cars ahead of him pitting. So at the restart you would expect him to show his own and keep P5, or even go better. Well,
Kane, Sergio Perez gets past Alex Albon, who spins, and I wonder if there was contact there from Carlos Sainz behind Alex Albon.
Albon eventually finished P15 and Red Bull endured a pointless weekend in Imola. So what do I think of Albon? Well, the guy is talented, humble and likeable. However, he is very unlucky that his teammate is Max Verstappen. He has proven to us in his early career and in the last 2 seasons, but he lacks consistency. And being at a top team with Karen Horner leading it is a lot to handle. I feel like Albon is too good for a seat at AlphaTauri, but not good enough for a seat at Red Bull. I'm a believer that the second seat at Red Bull is cursed, ever since Gasly or even Webber took it. If Red Bull wants a good strong second driver, then they must go back to 2018 and done all in their power to keep Daniel Ricciardo. Sure, he's far from the best driver on the grid, but when he was at Red Bull he did his job. He was what Red Bull wanted. So what can Red Bull do? Honestly, if Red Bull don't want to keep Albon, then my 3 picks would be Sergio Perez, Kevin Magnussen and Nico Hülkenberg. Now all 3 of those drivers have proven themselves over the years. However, there is one important issue here. That issue is money. Red Bull do have a large budget for their F1 team, however they're constantly trying to find ways to tighten the belt. And so if you look at Albon's 2.5 million a year salary and compare it to the 4.5 million a year Hülkenberg was getting, or the 8 million that Perez is currently earning at Racing Point, and the 5 million that Kevin Magnussen is on, it seems that Red Bull would be idiots to look at those drivers. Sure, they're consistent, but they haven't a race win between them. One of them hasn't even got a podium. Any idea who that one is? And if I'm honest, they probably wouldn't fare any better than Albon. Red Bull also has another problem. Yuki Tsunoda. This Red Bull junior driver is doing very well in F2 now. Currently third in the driver's standings, he is edging closer to an F1 drive in 2021. So if AlphaTauri decide to pick him to partner Gasly next season, then you can imagine that Albon will naturally be staying at Red Bull. Unless another team scoops him up, Albon will be really stuck if he's dropped, and I personally would hate to see it. Albon is a very likeable person. He's quiet, calm most of the time, and he's racing in a team that are against him. There, I said it. Hell, after all the research I did, I found that the majority of Albon should go crowd are realistically Verstappen fans. They hate how Albon can't supply the support for their golden boy, and they hate how Albon is respected. Meanwhile, people see Verstappen as a bit of a dick, because he sort of is one. Just saying. So overall, I think Albon should stay. There are still a handful of races left in the calendar, so he could redeem himself soon enough. But he will have to go if his current form doesn't improve. As far as replacements go, I'd pick Perez for funding, Hülkenberg to keep the fans happy, and Magnussen if they want someone with the driving style and determination of Max Verstappen. Or they could even pick Kvyat after a strong P4 finish. Quick nudge nudge. So what do you think? Let me know down below, and remember to like and subscribe. Anyways, I hope to see you all soon.